Welcome back, it's me, Lou, and I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are looking at this, the WWE Championship Showdown. And this 2-pack features Drew McIntyre on the left and Seth Rollins on the right. Also included with this fun 2-pack are the championship side plates. So if you have the toy championship belt, you can swap out the side plates with these signature plates here, which also double as character stands. And I kind of like these. I think they're kind of neat. On the back of the box, we have a brief description of the two characters in question. So we have Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins, May 10th, 2020. Drew McIntyre realized his purpose to defend the legacy of the championship he pursued for over a decade. Seth Rollins, however, felt it's his responsibility to remove the weight of responsibility from the Scottish Warrior's broad shoulders. At Money in the Bank 2020, the two superstars collided for the WWE Championship and the future of the WWE. And over here, we kind of see how the side plates function. So if you have the toy belt where you can swap out the side plates, you can put the side plates here, or you can use them off, or you can show off your action figures by using them as a display stand. And also in this wave, there's a Riddle figure, AJ Styles, John Morrison, and you can't see it, but there's a Kofi Kingston figure. So yeah, let's take a look at these two action figures. First off, I always like to review the package design. I like this. I don't know. I like the package design a lot. I think it's kind of neat, especially if you're a kid, or even a collector. I know some collectors aren't too keen on these action figure stands, but I don't know. I kind of like them a lot. I think it's kind of a neat thing, especially if you display your figures. I kind of wasted space up here with the plain white, because everything else is so bold and colorful. But I think they do a good job as packaging the figures in this 2-pack. It's very eye-catching. Likewise, I like the Showdown graphic on the back. It kind of reminds me if you like watching UFC or a boxing event, to kind of give you the stats and although this is missing the stats, you know what I mean. They kind of give you the opposing portraits on each side. And let's get these figures out of here. All right, so there's a cardboard insert. I don't know if you save these or not. Maybe some people do. Here we have the collectible stands, so you can display your action figures on them. Now these are, I know some collectors don't like them, but I think they're kind of cool. So the front of the stand is actually like a reflective sticker with the wrestler's logo on it. But what I think is really neat is on the back, it's almost like there's like a sculpted detail here. So you see the WWE logo. So I believe this might be dual function. So I think if you have the belt, the toy collectible belt, you can either display the side plates on the belt so that you see the character logo, or I think you can flip it around and actually just slap these onto the belt so you just see the WWE logo, I think. But I really like this side of the display plate. The display plate. The details is kind of like relieved, so there's some surface texture to it. It's kind of like embossed. Yeah, so you get both of their character logos. And let's take a look at the action figures. So here we have Drew McIntyre, and then we have Seth friggin' Rollins. So these are the basic or core action figures that are produced by Mattel. These are clearly aimed more so towards kids. Their articulation's very basic and limited, hence that's why these are basic figures. Unlike the Elite action figures, which are more premium, these have very limited range of movement in terms of their articulation. The paint application, likewise, they're not the best, but it's just enough to really encapsulate what the character is about. Now it's kind of weird because some of these later batches of basic and core figures, for some reason, they're absent of a neck. A lot of these wrestlers, they this Drew McIntyre, for example, he has no neck at all. It's almost like the head's just placed directly on top of the shoulders, and his proportions look kind of weird. But it's an okay figure. I think for the price you pay, I might have paid maybe $17 for this set at Walmart, maybe a month or two ago. And for that kind of money, I'm getting 2 figs. I believe if you're a parent, that kind of price for 2 figs is a great deal. If you have a child that's really into pro wrestling, you buy one of these double packs and they're good to go. They have 2 figures that could go at it. So yeah, let's take a look at these. Let's review Drew McIntyre first. So first off, as I mentioned before, for some reason this guy has no neck. It really bothers me. Now, I'm not sure if it's a case of them just sculpting the socket too high up in the head, thus eliminating the neck because the head's sitting a lot deeper than it should, or if this type of body just doesn't have a head in general, or doesn't have a neck in general. In terms of the figure itself, the sculpting's well done. The articulations, it's basic, but there's enough going on. The arms rotate out. The elbows, they're single jointed, and they bend and they swivel, which is nice. Now, I actually prefer the swivel at the elbow as opposed to the swivel at the bicep. I think it's cleaner, but that's just my opinion. His wrists are articulated, they rotate, and they also have a joint on the inside so he can close his hands towards his body. And you have the 2 different grips. You have the C grip here, and this is almost kind of like the weapon holding hand. There's waist articulation. Now, one of the biggest differences between the basic and elite figures is the leg articulation. So for the basic figures, they kind of just kick up, whereas the elite figures, they also kick out. Now this is, for me, from an aesthetic point of view, I actually like the look of the basic figure around the crotch area, just because now the elite figure offers more articulation and greater range of motion. But for me, someone who just displays their figures static, just I don't really put them in action figure poses, and I don't really do anything with fig photography. For me, I don't mind that the articulation is limited in the waist area and it just looks like this, because it looks more like a solid piece as opposed to the elite where the gaps are bigger. You also got knee pads with this guy, and these figures, the basic ones, their knees are really hard to bend. It almost feels, they're so tight, it almost feels like you're going to break them, so I'm not going to mess around with that. The boots swivel, and that's pretty much Drew McIntyre's articulation. Now, one thing that bothers me is the likeness of this guy. His face looks deformed. It looks really, I don't know, it's tall, but the face looks squat, if that makes any sense. It looks like his face was kind of scrunched. And he has this giant wall of a forehead. The hair sculpt's nice. I dig that, but yeah, his face is all off. If I had to rate this figure numerically, 6 to a 7. 7 being very generous. If the likeness was better and if he had more of a neck, I'd probably give it a 7 or a 7.5. But for what this is right now, it's all right. It's passable. If you're a child, or if you're a parent buying this for a child, this is a good Drew McIntyre for a little kid. If you're more so of a serious collector, or if you're into fig photography, or you want a more premium action figure, you're better off going with the elite figure. But for the price you paid, this isn't bad. I mean, there is a reason why I bought this. I do think it's an okay guy. The prints on the back are nice. So, I mean, the logos are printed on nice and clean. So, I mean, it's decent. I'm sure a lot of collectors will have problems with this, and rightfully so. The likeness is kind of weird. It's missing a neck. But for all intent and purposes and for its demographic, I think this is a really decent figure. Now, the reason why I got the 2-pack was more so for this guy. I love Seth to begin with, I love Seth Rollins. I think he's an amazing wrestler, but I really love his Monday Night Messiah gimmick, and he's kind of moved past that. I mean, at least in terms of this look. But for I think the good portion of maybe like late 2020 and early 2021, he was wearing these. He's always wearing these really cool leather jackets. You know, they'd have like fur or like feathery trim at the lapel and collar, and it looked so badass. And he's wearing the one glove, and I don't know. He has his hair slicked back and tied into a man bun. I don't know. Everything about him, it just looked really cool, and I'm like, I really wish they had a figure of that. So the minute this came out, I'm like, I couldn't pass up on it. I think it's awesome. I'm not sure if they're gonna make an elite version of the Monday Night Messiah in this clothing, but regardless, this is great. I'm glad I got this guy. You could take the vest. I mean, it's supposed to be a leather jacket. You could remove this, but then you're just stuck with these, you know, leather sleeves that, you know, which is his arms. So, you know, for the most part, you probably just want to leave this on. Or if you want, you can pretend that Drew McIntyre's cold. You know, he needs to keep warm, and you can just wear this as a vest or something, which kind of works on him. You know, going with that whole like Highlander theme. Yeah, this looks kind of cool on him. But yeah, the Monday Night Messiah look is awesome. But right now, Seth Rollins, he's kind of he's kind of wearing different gear nowadays. He's always coming out in these really wild and really cool looking suits, which I think is awesome, and I can't wait to get an action figure of any of those crazy suits. But for now, yeah, this won me over. The jacket won me over. The whole look, this looks awesome. If anything, his gear just looks very plain. Like his boots and his tights just look very plain. I'm not sure how accurate his tights are, but it seems like it's like missing logos or something, because this looks very, very bare minimum for his in-ring gear in terms of the design. But I love the jacket. The jacket's awesome. And the likeness of his face is pretty good. It's not as bad as the Drew McIntyre here. You know, he kind of has that Seth Rollins smirk. He has, you know, he kind of has that crazy look in his eyes, and the man bun. It's like everything's perfect about this guy. So yeah, this is a fun 2-pack to have. Now in terms of this guy, if I had to rate this guy numerically, now for what it is, for being a basic figure, you know, we're not taking into consideration like the more premium figures like the Ultimates or the Elites, but strictly on the basis of a basic figure, I like this guy a lot. I do have a bias towards this just because I like this gimmick. So for me, an 8. This is a figure where he doesn't need to pose. You know, he doesn't need to be articulate enough to wrestle, because this is more of his the gear he wears when he's cutting a promo or his entrance, you know, his ring entrance attire. So for me, I love the look. The sculpting on the heads is great. I love the jacket. You know, I love the jacket so much, I think I was trying to hunt one down online. Yeah, so I love this. This is a great figure. Love it a lot. So let's wrap this up. So should you get these? If you're a parent and you have a child that's into WWE, I'd say go for it. For the price you pay, you're getting they're basic action figures, but if your child, I think, will love them regardless. If you're a more serious collector in the sense that you want something a little bit more premium with more articulation, better paint application, and just like, you know, an overall better experience, you're probably better off just passing on this. But if you're a serious collector in the sense that you're a completist and you need every wrestling figure that ever made, you know, you're going to need this. I really think if you're a fan of Seth Rollins, you're going to want this pack just for this version of Seth Rollins. As I mentioned previously, I don't know if the Monday Night Messiah gimmick wearing this kind of gear is available in Elite form. If it's not, you know, this might be the only way you could get Seth Rollins with the crazy jacket, is by buying this double pack. So, yeah, just go out and buy toys. I don't, you know, even if you pass up on this, just, you know, throw your wallet at Walmart or Target or Meijer or whatever, and just buy lots and lots of toys and make yourself happy. Okay, once again, my name is Lou. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I have lots of other action figure reviews. There's a couple of wrestlers. I'm trying to do more wrestling stuff because I'm actually a big fan of wrestling, but For some reason, I don't review a whole lot of wrestling figures, but hopefully that'll change in the future. So until the next video, take care, and I'll see you soon. Later.